السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. شيخ كيف الحال؟
الحمد لله بخير. كيف عندكم؟
الحمد لله إن رب العالمين بخير.
الحمد لله.
I think there was some confusion about the time. That's why I asked, because I know last week we did it at this time, and um, especially when you do like
Yeah,
قاهرة
that's why.
yeah,
Yeah, that's why I don't like talking in the توقيت القاهرة. This
right.
I keep on forgetting. Is it 1 hour, 2 hours? So
Yeah,
that's why I like just to talk in like, okay, my time is that. It's GST. Just look it up
mm,
on Google. What is the time of GST and خلاص, you know.
no, no. But this is the time that we're doing an hour at this time every Monday.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And
Okay,
it's easier now because it's the same beginning on Saturday and Monday,
right,
10
right.
GST.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, it worked out. It's not on the same time or even right. I think before or after the other one. The one is doing both.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, it
Yeah, that
worked
was
out.
different when it was Sunday because Sunday was 1 hour later. It
Right.
was
Yeah.
actually easier to remember like this.
Mm.
Yeah. طيب. Okay, let's just and when I come back we start.
Okay.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Okay, perfect. How are you doing, Sidi Ali?
الحمد لله بخير. الحمد لله، كيف حالكم؟
الحمد لله.
الحمد
الحمد
لله.
لله. تمام تمام. You know if Sidi Mahmoud can attend?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't have access. I don't know what he has in plan.
Okay, let's start. Let's see if I can't share, fortunately. Okay, anyways, I'm following okay. With some edition, I think I shared the edition. So to follow along with myself. Today we're continuing our revisions. Sidi Ali, we started yesterday. And so on the Dar Arwaqa, actually, I don't know. Edition, page 178 of the file. That's 174 of the book. And so yesterday we read until Tartib al-Awliya. So now we continue. بعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. فإن فقد, we continue here. What happens in case the wali is absent? So we see we have different kind of absences, and we talk here first about al-wali al-mujbir. So the first thing we say is that if he is absent or he has been made prisoner, then he will be treated as if he passed away. And at that point, the right goes to al-wali al-aqrab. So, for example, the father passes away, the right will go maybe to I don't know, the brother, maybe yeah. Let's say she has a brother, so the right will go to the brother. Just an example. We can assume that it's the closest. Or to the uncle, if there is an uncle. Now, in case وإن غاب, فقدان and the غياب is are two different things. If he's lost, he's lost. Like we lost trace of him. We can't find him. غاب, when you say like he's absent, it's like, for example, he went to some place for business, let's say. He's not lost. We more or less know where he is. Like we know he went to some place for some reason. It's not like he went somewhere. He should have been back already, but we don't find him, or like there was like a big natural disaster, or there was a war, or any of these things, and we don't find him anymore. We've been looking for him. The fact we'll see it's there are a few ahkam related to it that are different from other things. So just for you that is clear that when we say like in Ghaba, it's not some sort of a repetition or mistake. And so when he's absent, there's the غيبة that is بعيدة, when he's far. And far, okay, nowadays, is it still relevant? Not too much, except in some very specific scenarios. But generally speaking, because nowadays you can so easily reach out to someone everywhere around the globe within usually not more than a few minutes or hours. The distance is not the most relevant thing, but still, the idea is that a person would be at that time, or today we might count still in number of days. right? If you know someone who went to some discovery expedition in Amazonia, and you don't expect the person to have any internet or telephone connection for next 2 months, that would be similar to a غيبة بعيدة, right? Because at that time they said like إفريقية from either from Misr or from Medina. Anyways, something like 3 months. 2, 3 months. It's obviously it was never something so precise. But Misr to Ifriqiya, they say it was 3 months. In Medina, it was 4 months. Guess what happens in that scenario when he's far away? If she needs to get married, it will be the hakim, not al-wali al-aqrab. It's different. So when it's lost or made prisoner, it's the wali al-aqrab, let's say the uncle or the brother or the grandfather. When it's but he's just away, but far away, and we won't have him or we won't be able to reach out to him until a long time, in months, then is the hakim. Similar to that, we could have the case of men who just leave and don't answer, and sort of like they, let's say, figuratively disappear. We know they are not dead. We might know in which country they are, in which town they are, but for some personal reasons, they just sort of like disappear. They don't send any money, or maybe sometimes they might send money, but they just cut all relations with their family. Of course, it's impermissible to do, but yeah, that would be another example of غيبة بعيدة. In that scenario, the hakim or Jama'atul Muslimin, and Jama'atul Muslimin here, it's important that I mention it because in the West, there's no hakim, obviously. And ladies might still be in the need to get married. And then he says, وإن لم يستوطن على الأصح. And here's just to say that it doesn't have to be, it's not a condition that the guy decided to live in that place for it to be considered a غيبة بعيدة. Now when we talk about the غيبة الولي الأقرب or الولي الخاص, always we follow the order. Then it will be a bit different, the way it works. And so this one is not mujbir. He's not mujbir. If it's 3 days or more, like he's far, he's at a غيبة of 3 days, around 100 kilometers, but at that time, but nowadays again, we could talk in above days. It will be the hakim who will marry the lady, or Jama'atul Muslimin. Then yeah, let's continue with the few masail of this bab. This is a bit not technical, but some details. He says, وإن غاب كعشر لم يزوج حاكم أو غيره وفسخ. If the wali al-mujbir, so we go back to the mujbir. That's why it's tricky. If you go to aqrab, you see, first you talk about the mujbir, and then we go to كغيبة الأقرب, and then just like and then right after وإن غاب كعشر لم يزوج حاكم أو غيره وفسخ. We understand that it is the mujbir we talk about here, even if we don't read in the sharh, because وفسخ, he says وفسخ. If it was not a wali mujbir, it wouldn't be said وفسخ like this. So when the wali al-mujbir is only at like 10 days or 20 days or and ways are and the roads are not dangerous, then no one can marry that lady except this wali. Okay. Then the author changes and starts to talk about what is the idhn. So the idhn authorization from the virgin is when if she says nothing. If she says nothing, it's as if she said, I agree. With the difference of the thayyib needs to be heard saying like vocally that, yes, I agree. I'm fine with getting married with this man, for example. And then there are the 6 cases where the bikr, we want her to say it. Otherwise, her silence will not be considered as acceptance. Is the bikr who is Rashida, or the bikr Udilat, which is the one where the wali refused to be married to, and the wali غير مجبر, of course. Also the bikr that is married بعرض, and that's the one who is like an orphan, who the muhmala, if you have the sharh, the muhmala, the one that has been abandoned, for example, who would be married with as a sadaq and a arad, when it's not the norm in her place, in her culture, to be married with let's say items or assets and not money. One that would be married to a slave. And here this is, even if she's mujbara, that's important, because the slave is not kufr للحرة. Or بذعيب, same thing, even for mujbara. Or if you have a man that has defects that would allow a khiyar, we need to hear her acceptance. أو افتيت عليها, also in the case where a غير مجبرة is married without even being asked about it. These are the 6 cases. Okay, then there are these masail related to the iftiyat and the conditions, the fact that it has the iftiyat when someone is married to someone else without being consulted in the first place, whether it's the man or the woman that is ftita alayha or alayhi. And so it's what's in قرب الرضا بالقول, if this acceptance is it has to be within the 1 day, otherwise the marriage will be cancelled. There shouldn't be any refusal from any of the 2 parties before the acceptance, and it has to happen in the same place. Also, it has to be that the wali doesn't mention that, oh, by the way, I'm getting her married to you, but she doesn't even know. In that case, also, that would be invalid. And also the last one, number 6. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ عَلَيْهِمَا مَعًا. But it's not like 2 persons that are married one to each other without any of the 2 even knowing. Like, this is invalid in the first place. It cannot be made sahih. They have to do a proper contract with the authorization of both parties. After that, we have the shurut al-wali. So we mentioned all this aspect related to the wilaya, and we reach now the conditions of the wilaya. Now, one could ask maybe why weren't the conditions mentioned at the very beginning? And I would say I don't have a good answer to that. To some extent, and I feel to have all the conditions at the beginning, you know, let's say, wali. But since it started, you know, in the very beginning of the section about al-wali, it says al-wali mujbirun wa ghayruhu. So it's just like giving a breakdown of what is the wali. So at that moment, he has to explain what are the different kind of mujbir and ghayr mujbir. And when you talk about ghayr mujbir, then you have to explain what is the order of the awliya. So it's probably because of that, because he starts to explain wali, but then he had to wait until the very end of the discussion about al-wali to mention the shurut. Again, like yesterday, if at any time you want to stop a bit more in a mas'ala, or I don't know if you're trying to read along at the same time on the sharh while I'm covering mainly the matan, and you want to stop somewhere, please feel free to do so. This reviewing session is like 100% for you. I mean, all the lessons are 100% for you, but like take the opportunity if there's anything you want to go over. Yeah, Bismillah. So the conditions. The wali must be a male. He must be free. He must be of age, an adult. He must have sanity. He must be a Muslim for a Muslimah. And he cannot be in a state of ihram. And if you remember in the Sharh al-Saghir, remember Daradir adds a seventh condition, but at the same time he says, yeah, but it's not really a condition of the wali, it's a condition of any uqud, and it's the condition of not being forced or obliged by force to conduct the marriage. No.
واضح.
العدالة. Yes.
No, I was saying واضح.
No. جزاك الله. لا العدالة والرشد. So important. عدالة and rushd are not conditions of validity of the wilaya. Of course, a safih, there's this sort of detail. Remember, Dardir puts in his matan and then explains further in the sharh. He says, فَيُزَوِّجُ السَّفِيهُ ذُو الرَّأْيِ بِإِذْنِ وَلِيِّهِ. That the safih, he has to be ذو الرَّأْيِ. Meaning he has to have some discernment. He has to not to be completely معطل العقل. يعني he has to be able to make decisions at least. Maybe he's just bad at managing his life. I don't know. He goes to the casino. He spends his money stupidly. He drinks alcohol. So he's in the category of safih. But still beside that, one can see that he knows also how to take proper decisions, and he's not completely like I wouldn't say stupid, but he's not like a child. He's not like a 7 years old doing only stupid stuff. Maybe he has a proper job and well-established one, and you know beside that he's doing everything correctly. He's not ma'tu, basically. Now the question of the wali, because it says بإذن وليه. This is mustahab, بإذن وليه. It's just a recommendation. And the fact that also وإلا نظر الولي, meaning if the safih married could be his daughter or like whomever he might be the wali of, without the counsel of his own wali, the one taking care of him, then the wali will look at the contract, will look at what he did. Okay. Again, this is recommended. It's not an obligation upon the wali to check this marriage that the Safi conducted. He will look at it, and based on maslaha, he will accept or refuse it. Now, if he doesn't look, meaning it's not looking, meaning looking at, meaning he will ponder, he will analyze, I could say, he will analyze this marriage. But if he doesn't at all, then the marriage is just confirmed. Yeah. بخلاف who says read the one ضعيف العقل يعني he cannot manage his life, but like to an extent that is really that he has a عقل very very deficient. والكافر لمسلم وإن زوج مسلم لكافر ترك. The kafir can marry his daughter to a Muslim. So the kafir is accepted as a wali for the kafira. Let's say a Christian father will marry his Christian daughter to a Muslim. That's perfectly fine. And anyways, this Christian lady must have a disbeliever as a wali. I haven't looked into the question of does this disbeliever have to be a Christian? I will look it up, but I would guess, just a guess, but it's the case. I would be surprised if we accept or if we leave and let a Jew or an atheist, or if a Christian can be the wali of a Jewish lady. I would be surprised, but it might be the case. Allahu a'lam. I will have a look.
يعني من باب المصلحة for her, right? For her.
Yeah, and also because there's okay, even though we say that al-kufr millatun wahida, so to some extent we consider all the kuffar as being one, but still we do difference between the kitabis, and there's a mas'ala when it comes to al-ridda. Let's assume a Christian who leaves Christianity for Judaism. Is he to be killed or not? That's a mas'ala in the school. Like the vastly dominant opinion is that no, he is not, because we say al-kufr millatun wahida, but still is there. So that would be interesting. Also, it might go back to do the Christians see that it's possible for a Jew to have any wilaya? And this I would definitely doubt that is the case. Because like even to be a godfather or godmother, you must have been baptized. It's a condition. To get married at the church, also you must have been baptized. So it seems that they put as a condition to be a Christian for all of these ceremonies or events, or they consider them devotions actually. And Jews, like for sure, they will not accept the Christian because they see the Christians as polytheists. But that would be like, that's also another point to consider. That's why I don't think it would be something valid for us. Wallahu a'lam. Wallahu a'lam. That needs to be checked. This is just me playing with the concept and trying to see how they might apply. So to be followed, inshallah. وصحة توكيل الزوج للجميع إلا المحرم. Yeah. The man can take as a wakil basically everybody except the muhrim and the ma'tuh. So that's sort of like after we talked about all of this, always regarding the wali of a lady, then we say, oh, by the way, the man can take anyone, of course, probably not a kafir also. Wallahu, no, the shart of the kafir is for the Muslim. So yeah, the zawj could I guess it would probably be disliked, because if we say it's recommended to take someone who is pious as a wakil, then to take someone who is a kafir would probably, there's no barakah in that. Wallahu a'lam, but it would be valid, actually. It would be valid for the man to take for his own aqd, to have a kafir as wali, ajil. But yeah. Okay, then الركن الثالث, the third pillar, which is المحل, الزوج والزوجة. And we have all these conditions. Some of those are in common, some are specific to each one of them. I shared this graph, this chart. I don't know if anyone tried to, because I commented on it that there are, I think, two things that should be added. If you remember. I don't know if anyone thought about remaking it, because I don't have the original file, so I can't.
Did you post it in the chat?
Did I? That's a good question. Let me check. I kind of think I did.
So don't worry.
Yes, there is. September 25. September 25th. I did. And it's not complete. It's almost complete, but it's not complete. So we can actually, if you go to it. So we say first the conditions. شرطهما عدم الإكراه. So شرطهما mean for the زوج and the زوجة. The condition of the wali, we already mentioned them. مكلف, male, free, no coercion, and not be in a state of ihram. And must be a mukallaf. It's, yeah, that would exclude al-ma'tuh. Because al-ma'tuh is, even though he has aql, it's very daif, so it's like يلحق بالمجنون والسكران يعني كأنه زيهم. So these five we talked about them before, and you see in yellow, that's what you find in all three categories: husband, wife, and guardian, which is عدم الإكراه and عدم الإحرام, can't be محرم. Then you have the conditions specific to the husband and the wife in red, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Or is it in gray, or is it in, yeah, it's in red. Yes. عدم المرض. So this one I didn't put it. So that's one of the that's one to be added. That's one to be added. Not to be sick of a sickness that leads to death. عدم المحرمية. This is already mentioned. These are that's one of the two conditions that are common to the three. categories. عدم الإشكال cannot be of a noun sex. Okay. Can be a خنثى مشكل. عدم الإحرام, this we talked about it before already. Oh no, عدم المحرمية, astaghfirullah, it's not عدم الإحرام, it's عدم المحرمية before, the one that I mentioned before. المحرمية is you cannot be a mahram to the other one, so he cannot be a mahram to his wife and she cannot be a mahram to her husband. So just again, so عدم الإكراه, not be no coercion, not being forced. عدم المرض, that's the one that is not in the chart and is specific to the husband and the wife. عدم المحرمية, specific to the husband and the wife also. So you cannot be a mahram to your spouse. عدم الإشكال, يعني not in الخنثى مشكل. So that's husband and wife. Then عدم الإحرام, that's for the free, husband, wife, and guardian. Then you have condition of being a Muslim for the husband. I didn't put it. Ajib. So it's to be added. The husband must be Muslim. And خلو من أربع, cannot be already married to. And also there's another condition, cannot be already married to someone that can't be gathered as a spouse and with the new one. Meaning, like if you're married to a lady, you can't get married to her sister at the same time. You have also for her, for the wife, specific to the wife, but she's not married already. So that's in the chart, that's the third line. She cannot be in the iddah from another man. Neither istibra. I put as another line also the istibra, line 4 and 5. Iddah and istibra. I could have gathered them. She cannot be majusiya. Majusiya meaning any, oh you know, but yeah, any kafira other than kitabiya. She cannot be a kitabiya slave also. And Imam al-Dardir in the Sharh, he adds that لا يتفقا على كتمانه, so it would be like the not nikah al-sir, but it's not a condition of the husband and the wife. I mean, he put it there, but it's not really, it cannot be put in, let's say, in this chart, because it's just really the conditions of the persons, not here like, it's more a condition related to the aqd, and to the ishhad, the validity of the ishhad to some extent, not the validity of the ishhad, but it's more related to ishhad, the question of not making it like nikah al-sir. وأن لا تكون مبتوتة للزوج. This also that she's not مبتوتة from this from her husband. And she has not been she's not like definitively divorced from her previous husband. And here it can be in two scenarios. One, if she's divorced طلاق بائن and still during her iddah, so it goes back to the condition of not being in a iddah, or, and that's probably what here he meant, but she has not been divorced 3 times by her husband, because in that case she needs to get married to someone else, but there's consumption that happens, and then to be divorced and so on. So to sum up, what would we need to add to the chart? It's the condition of not being sick, for sickness that leads to death for the husband and the wife. and Islam for the husband. This has to be added. And we could add the last one, but she's not mabtuta. Yeah, but she's not mabtuta from her husband. Okay.
Sayyidi,
Yeah.
I do have a question. So when we talk about defects in marriage and
Yeah.
disease, what constitutes a defect?
But there's almost a whole chapter about it. So I would just ask you to be a bit patient, inshallah. A bit of patience, and it will come. It will come soon, no?
Inshallah.
No, it will come soon because it's about the khiyar. You see, basically, it should come.
Closer
Should
to
come.
Divorce. Yeah. Within the chapters of divorce.
It's no. It's after, let's say, okay, from how many 100 pages is it? Yeah, a bit less than 100 pages. We read a bit less than, yeah, so in 5 to 6 weeks we should start talking about it, inshallah. But it's a chapter where we talk about all the everything that is عيب. طيب. So then وعلى الولي الإجابة لكفء رضيت به. Okay, when a wali is not مجبر, he has to accept the decision of his mawla and accept and go on with the aqd. And now there's a discussion within the school. If he doesn't and refuses, when actually he shouldn't be, and okay, the hakim will tell him to do so. Okay, and if he refuses, the hakim will do the aqd. But some have said that basically, and that's what that's the opinion of Ibn Abd salam, the commentator of Jami' al-Ummahat, and that's what the Suqi said is the correct opinion, is that the haqq goes to the next wali in the line, and it's not the hakim that will marry them. Now, so it seems that there is like a real divergence in that scenario. Is it the hakim or is it the next wali in the list? Okay, now we come to yeah, there's the question of the فأمر حاكم. No, okay. There's this question of the repetition of 2 pages in Manuscha, which is a bit annoying. Yeah. Yeah, ولا يعضل أب. We saw that a father cannot be considered as a عاضل, meaning as transgressing or not oppressing, but yeah, being عاضل. So meaning the concept is that he refuses men who come and propose to his daughter, and he will not be considered as transgressing or oppressing his daughter as long as we don't see that these rebuttals of all these pretendants are guided by some sort of an intention to harm his daughter. So he doesn't have really to justify his actions. But if it's seen that he's doing this with an ill intention, then the Hakim might declare that he's now like transgressing and oppressing his daughter, and he might force him to marry her. But the default is that he is not considered as being adil. After that comes this question of, okay, if a woman takes a wali and tells him, okay, marry me to whomever you like, then that man, that wali, will have to tell her, oh, this is the man I chose for you. And she can accept or refuse. Unlike if it's a man who, for example, the best friend, okay, like, find me a wife, bro, I trust you, find me the wife as you like. At that point, he will not be able to refuse like this. Of course, he can still divorce the lady, but if there was a sadaq that was mentioned, he will have to give half of the sadaq if he divorces her, because the contract was binding. Because it's a tawkil. So a tawkil means like the person is now an agent and he can act as if it was you. Also, this wakil can marry her to himself. If he tells her, oh, I will marry you to myself, you will get married to me. And he can be at the same time the wali and the husband. And so he would do al-ijab wal-qabul. He would do both sides. And he has to still he has to say the words. For example, تزوجتك بكذا, as he says in أقرب المسالك. And also he has to, even though he's alone and he's doing the ijab wal qabul, we need also the witnesses. He doesn't have to give the answer, by the way, because when he says I married myself to you, I got married to you, it's implying the acceptance, the qabul. After that comes the question of the lady that got married, that appointed two wali. She took two different persons, two wali, and then both of them contracted a marriage. How do we do? So by default, she will go to the first one, unless the second one had any kind of pleasure with her, including foreplay, and also if and even actually even if it were just like if just a dukhul happened, not intercourse, dukhul meaning they were like alone in a place in khalwa, this in itself would be considered as taladduth in this mas'ala. You see, the taladduth, it will depend when we change from one mas'ala to another, because later we saw that taladduth can mean something else. Like, for example, when there is a طلاق فاسد, if it was تلذذ, then she will get, the lady will still get something based on ijtihad. But here تلذذ was meaning what? Foreplay or kissing, which is not the same meaning as what we just said here. Also, this second one, there shouldn't be okay, she would be to the first one, unless the second one had any sort of pleasure with her, and he was not aware that the first contract has been established. And she was not in the iddah of the first one, meaning the first one did not die shortly before the second one did all of this. Also, if the first one already had pleasure, some sort of pleasure or dukhul with that lady, she cannot be to the second one, because the first one already sort of it was already a form of consumption. وفسخ بلا طلاق, of course it will be cancelled without a talaq, because the contract is considered as being completely void, non-existent. Okay, there are a few masail related to that. I'll let you go back over them. But after that, we talk about nikah al-sir. We saw how nikah al-sir is the fact for the husband to ask any of the witnesses to conceal the marriage, even if it's for a specific period of time or from some people. This is if he asks this before or at the moment of the contract. If they do the contract and then he goes to the witnesses and he tells them, don't mention this to X and Y persons, or just keep it for yourself entirely, then it will not be nikah al-sir. Nikah al-sir is really if it was required from the witnesses before or at the moment of the contract. In case of a nikah al-sir, anyone involved and aware, so involved and aware, not involved or aware, will be punished by ijtihad again of the hakim. And then we come to the different cases where there is cancellation of the marriage.
Sorry, Sayyidi. So the
Yes.
nikah al-sir is after, if the groom says to the witnesses after, do not share with anyone, it's still
Then it's
jaiz.
not nikah al-sir.
Okay. And so is the contract still valid?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is the difference then, before, during, or after? What is the difference between the three?
Before, it's like, look, you will find the same thing when it comes to the rights. Okay, before and at the moment of the contract is, if you say that to the witnesses, you are affecting one of the conditions of the contract, right? You are telling them, okay, don't say this to X, Y, Z, or don't say that to my mother for the next 2 days, or anything like this. Okay, that would be nikah al-sir. Now, it's because the contract is affected by it. If it's after the contract, the contract has been already done. It's contract is a contract. It's like, if you get married to a woman and you tell her, oh, by the way, your nafaqah is not on me. And she's like, okay, like nowadays they talk more about it, nikah al-misyar, or whatever, right? They name it. If it's done before, that's not a valid condition. that would be actually one of the scenarios where it would be يفسخ قبل الدخول. The marriage would be cancelled before the dukhul. But if after the contract, the husband or it might be from the wife might tell him, maybe she's rich, oh, by the way, your nafaqa, I give up my right to the nafaqa. Or with the husband telling the wife, asking the wife, please, like, free me from the nafaqa, you know, I'm too poor or whatever. So here, since it's after the contract, it's fine. It's permissible to leave out one's right, and it doesn't affect the contract.
Okay, that makes sense.
So now, the different types of marriage based on cancellation. And so we have one category, which is يفسخ قبل الدخول. And we have different types here. One would be related to like intercourse or like interactions between the spouses. Like if she says, oh, you will not have intercourse with me except during the daytime or during the night, or except on or not on Sundays or not on Fridays, or these sort of things. That's number one. So يفسخ قبل الدخول. But if there's dukhul, we don't cancel the marriage. Second one would be a khiyar. Like one of the two says that, oh, I want a period of a testing period. I want a period where I can cancel the aqd at any time. And here we're not talking about like trial period, like consumption and stuff. Like in any case, you know, even if they don't plan on living together before 2 years, you know, still, it would be this condition of khiyar. We would cancel before the dukhul. Also, the third one, if there's a condition set that if he doesn't bring the sadaq before that date, a specific date, let's say, I don't know, 1st December, then there is no nikah. So if he brings the sadaq before the date or on the day of that date, then it's okay. But still, as long as there's no dukhul, it's okay. Meaning, it will be cancelled if no dukhul happens. If it reaches the qadi and no dukhul happened. But if he doesn't bring the sadaq at that date, you know, then it's cancelled. Whatever, it is just cancelled. As Imam Darris says, فإن لم يأت به فيه يعني في الوقت فسخ أبدا. Then there is وجه الشغار, which is when two persons get married to the daughter of the other one, but there is a sadaq. So it's like, I'll let you get married to my daughter for a sadaq of, I don't know, 500. If you let me get married to your daughter for, I don't know, 500, 600, 700, whatever. That's wajh al-shighar. The fifth category is كل ما فسد لصداقه. Every nikah that is invalid because the sadaq is not valid. This would be cancelled before the dukhul, not after. And finally, and that's what we were talking about, Ali. When I talked about the conditions, وقع على شرط يناقض المقصود من النكاح. So these are شروط, like for example, النفقة or these sort of things, you know. The shart would be anyways not used, not worked upon. It would be ignored. And if the hakim comes to know it before the dukhul, it will be cancelled. Oh, we forgot to mention that nikah al-sir is cancelled إن لم يدخل ولم يطل بالعرف. Okay, with the two conditions for nikah al-sir to be cancelled is that dukhul did not happen, and at the same time tul did not happen. And tul here in this chapter, or in this mas'ala, sorry, is the fact that, like, is al-fushu, is the fact that everybody comes to know that these two people are married. It's like the al-khassa wal-amma, like close people, relatives know about it, but also the general, like, public. This obviously will, from one place to another. What does it mean? If you live in a place like Cairo, obviously, it's not going to be not even 1/100th of Cairo that will ever know, because that already represents so many people. But it would be like your circle, your close circle, and your enlarged circle, we could say. But the second category is what is cancelled before the dukhul and even after the dukhul. So that's like cancelled abadan. It's mutlaqan. Like nikah li-ajal, so nikah al-mut'ah, or when people got married when they are sick of a sickness that leads to death. And here there's a subtlety, is that if the person gets better before the hakim cancels the marriage, then this marriage cannot be cancelled. Then that's where was mentioned a qaida. What would be interesting is for you, like, for one of you, or you can create a shared Google Doc file or something like this, all the qawaid that we mentioned. And if you fear missing some of them, you could use الشاملة. You put قاعدة in الشاملة, just with the book الشرح الصغير, and the answers, or the results, I should say, the results of the search or the research, they are given in order. I don't remember if it's from the beginning until the end, or from the end until the beginning of the book, but there's a logical order, and so you could start from the beginning of the chapter on nikah, and then write them down. It would be interesting. And we could even see, like, if at the end of, even though you will have a dedicated study of قواعد الفقه with Sheikh Mahmoud on the Minhaj al-Muntakhab, it might be interesting at some point, maybe at the end of the study of Sharh al-Saghir, just to go and see if these qawaid have been explained in the books of qawaid, يعني شروحات كتب القواعد. That would be interesting as something complementary, even if usually it's there's a lot of repetition. Like what you will find in these books is what you find in the books of fiqh, but sometimes they provide additional examples. They bring some, like, more discussions on the table. It can be very very interesting. نعم. Just here. So كل ما اختلف فيه ففسخه بطلاق. At the moment a marriage is مختلف فيه. So there's divergence, scholarly divergence on the status of this marriage. Is it invalid with a divergence or not? If there's a divergence, then the fasakh will be with talaq. Why? Because we see that it is at least valid for some people of ijtihad in some of the madahib. According to, one of the valid sources of law, we could say, even if it's not a direct source, the ijtihad of a mujtahid, but yani, for us laymen, it is unlike the muttafaqun alayhi. So the talaq is no, the fasakh is without a talaq. Why? Because it's as if it was not existent. And now we reach the masail that we just talked about. We just basically reached where we arrived, I mean, this weekend. And these are like, there is for example, ما فسخ بعده. That's the, what do we do with the dowry? Or what about the dowry? When a marriage is invalid. And so the first thing is what is cancelled even بعد الدخول. This implies a صداق المسمى, the dowry that has been decided. If there is a مسمى, of course. Because if there's no مسمى, it cannot be المسمى, obviously. In the case of a dowry that would have been impermissible, let's say wine. Okay, the guy gave in dowry like wine, then it would be صداق المثل. And if it's fasakh before the dukhul, there is nothing. There is nothing at all. إلا في نكاح الدرهمين, as we mentioned. Then she would have half of it. And nikah الدرهمين is a nikah where the dowry is lower than ربع dinar. 1 gram of gold. Another mas'ala we talked about is that if the husband divorces, then the consequence of his divorce, and we're talking about an invalid marriage, is basically like the fasakh, like cancellation. And it's the same consequence regarding the dowry also. Here that's where the mentioned also تعاد المتلذذة بها. She would get, I talked about this mas'ala earlier today. It's an invalid marriage, but still some kind of dukhul, like intercourse, did not happen, but there was some kind of foreplay that might have happened, or kissing, or like hugging, this sort of things. Here she would get something wujuban based on ijtihad. After that it was literally Saturday that we saw these masail. So I don't think I need to go back about them, just we can mention them. The Sayyid who comes to know that his slave got married without his approval, and how he can refuse this marriage, and the fact that she would get the quarter of a dinar if a dukhul happened. But obviously, if the slave like scammed her, you could say, or he made her think he is free when actually he's a slave. So then, if the sadaq was higher than ruba dinar, she would get the rest of the sadaq from him. He would have to give the rest. There were details. I'll let you go back to the details. Likewise, the wali of someone who is safi can cancel or refuse the marriage of his safi, as long as the safi did not become rashid. Again, the woman would get a quarter of a dinar, but this safi who became rashid will not have to give the rest. You not have to give the rest to her, the rest of the dowry, I mean. No. And then there was just like one or two masail, one about the nafaqa of the nafaqatu zawjati al-abd. So the slave married to a woman. What about nafaqa? And we talk about what is the kharaj, what is the kasb, from which source can he give her the nafaqa, or like what can he claim or ask his master, and so on. And with this, alhamdulillah, we finished this quick revisions. Inshallah, it was beneficial for all. And so next week we resume from ثم شرع في بيان من له جبر الذكر على النكاح من قوله, who can force a male to be married, who has the jabr. Because we talk about the jabr of the daughter, for example, but not when it's a boy for you. أكرمكم الله.
جزاكم الله خيرا.
وإياكم. So inshallah see you on Saturday.
بإذن الله.
And please make dua for my wife. She has surgery tomorrow. Something that shouldn't be.
We'll do, inshallah.
Shouldn't be. Inshallah, something that shouldn't be too heavy or too bad, but yeah. Always it's.
May Allah make it easier, make dua, inshallah.
بإذن الله. جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.